I know you see the potential to make your midlife years some of the most amazing years of your life, where you finally get to be in control and you have the opportunity to make an impact in something you want to do, but you're not sure how to go about it or how to make it happen. I'm here to tell you that I can help you create a plan for just an amazing midlife shift for yourself. But there's 3 things that you've got to do in order to really open yourself up to the possibilities and really make this happen for yourself. And I want to get to that, but I want to share with you the number 1 fear that I see my clients show up with. Successful women in their 40s and 50s when they're looking to make a transition. And that is loss of identity, loss of who you have been all these years. You know this person. You have this job title. You've had this stability. You've got a busy calendar. People take your calls. So who are you if you aren't this job title anymore? I mean, that's a little scary. And I can so relate because I was there myself a few years ago. I was the top Democratic political fundraiser in Chicago in the 1990s, early 1990s. I was Mayor Richard Daley's finance director. I was the Midwest regional director for the Clinton White House. I had an amazing office off the Magnificent Mile, a talented team of employees. We raised over $10 million for our clients. And, you know, I had the golden Rolodex, you know, if we all remember what a Rolodex was back then before we had iPhones. And on the outside, I looked really successful, but I was so ready to be done with fundraising. I mean, I had done it all and there was nothing more for me to learn. And, you know, politics is just, it's all consuming. And as you can probably guess, and it's just not really all that healthy. So I decided to sell my business and move to Minnesota and explore a long-term relationship I had been in with a guy. And it was really funny. At my going away party, I was sitting there with the head of Cook County Hospital and a real powerhouse. And she was sitting there, you know, smoking a cigarette, which you could do back then. And she said to me, "I cannot believe you are giving all of this up to move to Minnesota without a ring." I mean, I could not believe she said this to my face, but what was great is it gave me a second to think about that. And I decided, I don't want the ring because I don't know if I'm gonna like living in Minnesota. I don't know if I'm gonna like giving up politics. And I don't know if this is the guy for me. But I did know that I was ready for a change and I had to do something different and shake it up. And so 18 years of marriage later with 3 kids, it ended up being the right decision. But I know you wouldn't be listening to this if you also weren't ready to shake things up a little bit. So, hold on, let me get to my spot. You know, at this stage of life, and I'm 51, we want to have a little control about what we do with our life. And I think part of that is because for so many years, we did not get to have control. You know, we were raising kids, we had a spouse, we had jobs, we had bills to pay, kids to put through college, and, you know, a lot of responsibility. It wasn't allowed to be about us in many ways. And we were pretty much okay with that because we loved what we were doing. We loved the families we were raising. But now we want to think a little bit about impact. What's the impact I want to make? What's the impact you want to make? And oh my God, in today's world, we have so many opportunities for impact. Oh my God. We have become numb to gun violence. There are shootings that are happening every day that don't even make the news anymore because not enough people are getting shot. And there are islands, literally islands of garbage floating around our oceans because we've become so disconnected from the environment. And I don't know why this is so near and dear to my heart, but African American young men are dropping out of high school and not graduating at 4 times the rate of their white counterparts. I mean, this is not the world Martin Luther King envisioned for our country. So those things matter to me. What about you? What is your issue? What is that thing when you see it on the news, you're sitting there thinking, why aren't they doing this to solve that problem? And honestly, maybe they're waiting for you. So, back to those 3 things that my clients work on to help them set up an amazing midlife shift for themselves. All right. Number 1, you need a confidence boost. Now, you may be sitting there thinking, pretty confident. I'm not sure that that's what I really need as my number 1 thing. But let me tell you, I'm going to say out loud what these amazing women who show up to work with me are not willing to say out loud at first. And that is, they're worried, will my skills transfer? I know how to do this in this job in this place, but can I really shift over and do that somewhere else? Oh God, and let me tell you, yes, you can. And if you want a little inspiration, I want to tell you about Reshma Saujani. Interesting name. But she saw a problem and she found a solution. 74% of middle school girls show an interest in the traditional STEM subjects, science, math, but only 0.04% of high school girls will go into computer science. So Reshma started an organization called Girls Who Code. I mean, I love this name. And the goal is to bring training to low-income girls and help hold that interest in computer science. And she has a goal to train 1 million girls by 2020 to code. I mean, it's so cool. And honestly, I know there is a little Reshma inside of all of you. And maybe she was really there when you were younger and you were more of a risk taker. But honestly, all we have to do is just find that girl again because she's there. Which leads me to number 2. All right, you have got to get clear on what your skills and talents are. And I'm not talking about just your work skills. I'm talking about the decades of experience you have accumulated with work, raising a family, being engaged in your community, volunteering wherever you've done over the last 30 or 40 years. All of that stuff can transfer and do amazing work somewhere else. You just got to figure out where you want to do that. And the other thing you got to think about with your skills and talents is which ones are you kind of burnt out on now that you may not want to do anymore? And which ones might you want to develop a little bit? I had a client, she was executive director of a nonprofit, and she knew very clearly what she was good at. She was an amazing implementer, could take a project from A to Z and make it happen. But she was burnt out on implementing. She did not want to do that anymore in her 50s. What she really got jazzed about was visioning and really bringing together diverse players to help solve problems. So what she decided to do in her shift was consult and work with organizations on that big vision picture. And as a consultant, she didn't have to do the implementing anymore, which is what she was really excited to not have to do, and really focus on the big vision and the big picture. So you have to think about that for yourself. You know, for me, totally burnt out on fundraising after doing it for 15 years. I don't do fundraising at all anymore, and I'm happy to kind of be out of that. So, so you have to think about that for yourself. And then the last thing that I want you to think about is you have got to surround yourself with people that are operating at this higher frequency that you want to get to. And what I mean by that, and this is a little woo-woo, and I'm not a big woo-woo person, but I go there when I need to, because energy matters. The energy you give off matters, and the energy of the people you surround yourself with matters. So who are you spending time with? Are you spending time with people that love talking through, you know, how to make your midlife years the best years, and what do you still want to accomplish, and how do you still want to grow? Or are you going to your monthly book club discussing the latest, you know, bestseller that you've read? Or you're talking about what's happening in the neighborhood or the latest with your kids, because there isn't that much different or new going on in your life. But you'd really like to change that. You know, there's a great quote by Jim Rohn, who is a motivational speaker and entrepreneur. And he says, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." So think about that. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So are you spending it with people that are lifting you up and challenging you and pushing you to think differently about this stage of life? If not, I want to tell you about something. I am looking to put together a select group of women who are wanting to create their action plan for their midlife years. And these are women who are determined and successful and wanting to make a difference, still wanting to have a little fun while they do it, but they want to be thoughtful about this process. They want to have control, and they want to make a difference. And so if that is something you're interested in, I would love to talk with you about this a little more. And I'm not looking for people who just want to make a bucket list. I mean, this isn't about planning the trip to Europe that you've always wanted to take. This is more than that. This is really about, how do you still want to grow as a human being? What do you want your legacy to be? And what's the impact you want to have on the world? You know, that's what's going to be cool to work on together and create this plan. And I wanted to say this, and I want you to really hear it. You deserve this. All the years you have put in, all the work you have done, you deserve to be a little reflective and take that time to think about, how do you want to live your life at this stage? So if you're interested, let's connect. I'd love to talk this through with you. I'd love to hear more about your vision and the impact you want to have. And if it's a good fit, we'll figure out how to do this together.